community, it is Shemeka and I am back. Don't judge me. You know, my background looks crazy and I'm always curious if people who work in commercial space has a better background for those of us who work at home. I have been working at home for some time now and I'm always on the fence about getting a commercial space because of all of this. I am a paperhead. I keep everything and I never shred enough. But welcome NOSA community as I jump into the topic today. I hope everybody is having a fantastic June 1st. We have officially made it to a halfway point of 2023. I wanted to come in and of course talk with you guys and welcome some new members that we have here in our Facebook group. So if you're new here and you're on the live or you catch it in hashtag replay, feel free to drop a comment below and let us know where you're from. We're excited to have you here. So what I was talking about was the fact that I'm thinking about getting a commercial space. And it's been on my mind because of the situation happening in the back of my background, because I just think I'm a different type of person when I walk into a commercial space office. So let me know you all's experiences working in commercial spaces versus working at home. And I'll give everybody a chance to jump in. But welcome while we wait, all of our new members. Welcome to the community. We are glad you're here. And thanks for being a part of the community. And feel free to share your social media as we continue to grow and we're just over 7,000 members. It's always great to connect with the people in our communities virtually here on Facebook, but also on your social media. I'm going to follow. If you drop your social media, which I encourage you to do today, I'm going to follow. So feel free to do that. And I'll follow you. I'll share your job openings. I'll comment on stuff. So definitely feel free to connect in that way. But let's go ahead and jump in on our topic tonight. And if you didn't get a chance to join us on office hours happens every other Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And it's posted here in the group as well as on our business page. So if you have questions, as I know many of you all do, feel free to definitely drop in, ask your question, share some information about your experiences, or just come out and support. So lately we haven't had as much response during our office hours, so we're kind of thinking about changing the time. If we do that, we'll share it with you guys to maybe accommodate people. So if you're pro AM, like 6, 7 a.m., or if you want it later, like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern time, let us know, because we definitely want to have great conversations during our office hours and be helpful to you guys as you either start, grow, or launch your particular staffing agency. So what is today's question? So I always get the question for today or for a lot of the Facebook Lives from topics that you all have shared in our community, or you have reached out to me via Messenger or email about this thing. And I think this is probably a common challenge for many NOSAs during this time where, you know, things are looking, I wouldn't say wary as much as it's looking a little bit in the valley. The healthcare staffing space is been very busy, and it's not only been busy where there's like new smaller businesses entering the market, as much as it's brought about a new wave of technology and a new wave of how we view and think about healthcare staffing. So if you don't know who I am, because I forgot to introduce myself as per usual, I'm Shemeka. I am the creator and founder of the NOSA Group, the Nurse Owned Staffing Agency. And you're here on our YouTube channel. You might be here on our Facebook group. You might be catching us on TikTok as well. So a little bit about me. My background as a nurse. I've been a nurse a little bit over 10 years, but before that, I actually worked in human resources. So that was part of me starting the journey with my business partner to actually open up a staffing agency. And honestly, guys, I'm not even going to give you like a convoluted story. One of the reasons that I got started was because I found out how much the bill rate was. And I figured I too can do that. But much like your own story, my story, the journey was not easy. And at that time, there was way less information out there around what it meant to be a small NOSA or small business and doing healthcare staffing. And one of the things that was missing that we saw enter our market during the pandemic was technology. So the process for us was still very manual. So we were submitting multiple documents to clients. We were reaching out to many different types of clients, and that's what we'll talk about today. And we were still doing paper timesheets, still doing emailing kind of back and forth. There wasn't a lot of security around that process. So I'm excited to see some of that change in the form of a lot of different platforms that are out there, scheduling apps, on-demand scheduling, same-day pay, credentialing management, being more effective and more secure because you're providing important and key information, more efficiency around compliance related things. So that's kind of where we were. We started the business in New Mexico. We then expanded to Delaware. That's kind of where we stayed. During that process and during that journey, I started this Facebook group, and that was about 7 years ago. And one of the reasons I decided to start the Facebook group was because I wanted to connect to you guys. I was like, there has to be other nurses who are doing it. At that time, in my opinion, 7 years ago, there was a lot of conversation around nurses in entrepreneurship, meaning that they did a home care business or that they did a CNA school. And those are all great. But there wasn't as much conversation happening around, hey, what does it look like to do a staffing business? What does it look like if you want to work the staffing business? But as we've seen over the last few years, we've seen a lot more independent contractors in the form of nurses doing that or other healthcare professionals. And then one of the great things that we've seen this community do is branch out where other healthcare professionals, whether it be lab techs, pharmacists, ultrasound techs, therapy, occupational physical therapists, enter the industry as well, because we're all in healthcare, whether you're doing the nursing, CNAs, phlebotomists, whether you're doing the nursing side of the business or the other many sides of the business, at the end of the day, we're all healthcare. So that's a little bit about me for those of you guys who don't know. And where we are in the process is a lot of our focus as an organization is, for me, the NOSA group. So that's why you see me here on Facebook Lives and other platforms, as well as empowering and supporting other people's journeys. And what that looks like is, it sometimes looks like a Facebook Live. It might look like a training class or a meetup. It may also be the conference that we had last year. So that's been where a lot of my focus and shift has gone, but parts of the staffing business is still happening. I'm just not a part of the day-to-day. And one of the reasons I wanted to come on today was to talk a little bit about it. One, kind of how you pivot. And then two, also, what are some other areas that you could be staffing in that you just don't know about? Healthcare staffing is a billion-dollar business, but so much of the focus, and even we've done that, has been on the actual nursing side, that the other areas of the business get neglected. So the other areas of the business where, when you think about when you walk into a healthcare staffing business or healthcare staffing facility, you want to see every area from the time that you meet the receptionist to every floor that you go to as an opportunity for you to staff, i.e. you can staff for the receptionists at facilities. You can also staff for lab techs, occupational physical therapy. You can staff for phlebotomists, ultrasound techs. We had one of the NOSA members who was an ultrasound tech get contracts and other opportunities where she staffed for clinics or provided, per diem or permanent positions for different ultrasound companies. You can staff at clinics, you can staff housekeeping, environmental services. You can staff your IT departments. in those places, your administrative staff, your unit secretaries, your CNAs. So there's so many areas that you can staff in. So I encourage people to really think about, hey, I'm walking into the healthcare facility or healthcare system. Don't just focus on nursing. Nursing is popular. Nursing is probably the money maker for most healthcare systems, but it's not where it stops. And I would encourage you to think outside the box on a regular basis around those different things. So here are a couple of other areas and specialties that you may want to consider. I know a lot of people focus on what is referred to as the low-hanging fruit, which is like your long-term care, your LTACs, which are also beneficial. You want to think about your assisted living, even assisted livings that operate as more of a support system. So it may be like a combination of assisted living, dementia, Alzheimer's center, all in one. So some of those who are all in one. You want to think about the ones who are private. Some assisted livings, depending on where you live, especially in areas where they have proximity to beaches or nicer weather, they may have an assisted living they own 2 properties in that area. So those places may not come up on a Medicare.gov because they're privately owned. They may not accept Medicare. They may only accept essentially cash. So you want to look at some of your smaller private assisted living facilities. You also want to look at homes that are specific to a population. And that might be Jewish homes or veteran state homes where their population is this, and that's who they primarily work with. You also want to think about dialysis centers. In every neighborhood has a dialysis center, like a DaVita or Frestinas. Those are all places that are opportunities, and they're places that nurses and, of course, dialysis tech work. So that's also an opportunity. And then, of course, for your healthcare systems where they actually do dialysis inpatient, that opens the door as well. You want to think about your infusion clinics. A big part of what we saw happen during the pandemic for healthcare was that more and more services were brought back into the home. So for people who get all different types of infusions that they can get at home, they typically want a nurse. Sometimes it could be a pharmacist, that's sometimes an insurance thing, who come into the home and provide the infusion for the person. Those are great options. IV hydration clinics. Those people are sometimes mobile, sometimes they're short staffed. We have quite a few members here who run IV hydration clinics. You can offer temporary services to them because sometimes people call out, sometimes people are available. If you have clients, you still have to meet the need. One of the benefits for most of us is that if you are a nurse, sometimes you can fill in and meet that need. But in instances where you may not be, you want to think about that. Medication, aides, and tech types who work in assisted livings, those are definitely opportunities as well. Or some of that kind of is state specific around the med techs and what they do, but some med techs work in long-term care facilities. Sometimes they're med techs and CNAs. Recruiting for those are great ways. Your med spas, so like your medi spas, where you get different types of procedures. And when I think about it, and when I'm kind of sharing it with you guys, is around that you're meeting a need for people that aren't available. So it may not be something that you can staff like 24/7, like a long-term care situation, or even provide a contract, but you have to think about it. Med spas, infusion clinics, dialysis centers, sometimes those staff members go out for leave, sometimes they go out for maternity leave. So those are areas where you can fill the gaps, because that's essentially what you're looking to do. Hey, where can I in this particular business fill gaps? Infusion clinics, med spas are really good because they're becoming more popular, at least in this area. So they need healthcare people. They need front desk people. They need, sometimes they have CMAs. Sometimes they have nurse practitioners. So they'll always need those types of people. So a NOSA or healthcare staffing business owner can help them meet those needs when they're short staffed or when they're in the holidays where it may be busy, or as we come into summer and people are getting more services. or they may be offering more services where you may have someone who provides, education. It's not always that your nurse or healthcare professional has to offer a patient-to-patient service. It could be a education service, like if you're dealing with a med spa that has like weight loss management. A big part of that is the education. There may be opportunities for telehealth in those scenarios. If it's a company that does a lot of virtual types of appointments, which is becoming extremely popular, where big, small, and large are offering a feature where a great example would be CVS, where you can, instead of even booking the appointment to see them in person, you just book it online. And helping them meet the needs for that, because those companies that do it, like CVS and others, they're doing it 24/7. Their time block is a little bit wider because they want to offer the convenience for their members, or for people who are looking for urgent care or advice nurse types of roles. And advice nurses are great specialties to also look to staff in. And then a few other areas that I've touched on are your school systems. So one of the benefits of doing the school system is that it allows you to lock in a person. And this doesn't say that people won't leave. People leave. That's life. But it's to say that, one, you'll lock in a 10-month or 1-year contract. And then you'll also have the benefit of that person at least committing to it for that time period. So that creates a consistency. I know we have a few nurses here that do school systems, and I'm talking about public and private, because both systems use nurses. So your private schools, your locally private schools, or if it's a private school system that has multiple locations, that's a great option. And I'll drop in the comments all this I'm talking about. But you also want to look at some of your daycare centers, like some of your larger daycare centers, especially the ones that are franchised. Hey, that's a great opportunity for a school nurse or a school nurse type, especially as we go into the summer and, people may be looking to have just like a more flexible schedule, or kind of have their schedule mimic their children's schedule. That's a great opportunity. Some other areas I would look into is like immunization clinics, corporate immunization types of clinics. A lot of corporations have brought more of the healthcare related activities in-house. And some of your medium to large size organizations also have in place your occupational nurse on staff to help in any way that they can with staff members, as well as offering as a perk for employees to, get care or get support in situations that they may experience on the work site. Some other things when you think about like corporate nursing, occupational health nurse, you want to touch on plants. So big factories and plants out there for food plants, or big warehouses for different companies. Those places typically have, an occupational nurse or nurse type role for you to be able to staff. And feel free to chime in, guys. My list is getting lengthy, but feel free to chime in. So those are some of the areas that you can look into. But I really encourage you to kind of, as you're going into these places, especially if you're doing any sort of in-person site visits for potential clients, to kind of look at every avenue as you go into the organization to either offer per diem for your healthcare staff, but also temp to perm, permanent options for some of the administrative staff. Maintenance is another good option around that, providing staff. And one of the nice things is that maintenance typically has similar turnovers as the healthcare industry, so there is a constant need for like your HVAC types to provide services for a period of time. Typically, I would say typically a contract, in the same way that you may do it for like your environmental services or housekeeping staff members. So As always, I'm just jumping in. I'll drop all of these recommendations for you guys who are a little bit in limbo. I get it. I know that the industry has shifted quite a bit. I think what a lot of people need to consider at these times is there something else in my business that I can focus on that may help me kind of get a jump start when things pick up? The summer is coming. It's June 1st. Things typically, from where I've seen it, pick up in the summer months. So you want to make sure that you position yourself, especially if things have been a little bit slow during the winter, to be able to maximize on whatever comes into the into the summer months as we begin summer. You want to think about, what else can I be doing? What else do I need to incorporate? How am I staying competitive? Do I have a competitive edge? What your partner, or not partner, what the other area agencies are doing that maybe you need to incorporate into your agency, so that when you start looking for staff, you're not kind of being told no because you don't have an app, or you don't have an option for people that get same day pay, or maybe you don't have enough per diem shifts or enough diversity as far as different types of opportunities. And the diversity or diversifying your portfolio is key, and this is a great time to do it, especially if you're kind of in limbo, so that when this happens, because it'll happen again, kind of the down slump, you're in a better position to kind of manage the wave. And that looks like, what else can your organization do? I know many nurses are opening other businesses and getting involved in other areas of the industry, and this might be the time to do that. I would just make sure that you do your research just like you would for this, and make sure it makes sense, make sure it complements what you're currently doing. And maybe, depending on what's going on, you might need to make a big pivot and be able to do something that's out of the box, and think about ways that you can improve the industry, which typically opens the door for new products, new services. I've participated in calls and presentations from organizations around memberships that staffing agencies have, buzzed around with for clients, and what that means. Once I see the article come out, I'll share it with you guys. Changing some of your recruitment models. The staffing referral process is pretty antiquated. So why not have your nurses get the benefit versus paying a recruitment person? We touched on that in a couple of videos around, hey, what does your referral model look like for your particular organization? Could your employees become your recruiters from a referral-based system that you put in place? Referral management system is what some people refer to it as. So you want to look at all the areas of your business and look and see where you can fix things. Other areas that you want to look into that may have staffing needs, or could be seasonal areas, and that would be some of your beach towns where people only go there during the summer months. Those are also great options as well, and I'm just going to write this down as I'm talking. So beach towns are always good options where it's kind of open during the season and then closed down or slow down during off season, and that would be anywhere in the U.S., especially on the East and West Coast, where you can see a lot of that happening. So those are great starting points. And, think outside the box. And if you have something, or you're thinking about something, share it in a group, or share it with a fellow NOSA or a fellow person to just kind of bounce the idea off of. But don't be afraid to take risks. I think in these times is where risk can be the most rewarding. And you want to make sure that you, thought through the process. But sometimes, even starting the business for us and many of you guys, it was a risk. We didn't know how things would turn out. We thought they would, but many times that becomes your driving force, is that, hey, I can do this. I have everything in on it. I can put in the work. I can take out the time. I can make this happen for me. So As always, if you're a new member here, feel free to chime in and let us know where you're from. If you're on the live, if you catch the live and hashtag replay, feel free to do that as well. Definitely share your social media, guys. I want to make sure that I can follow as many notes as possible, and definitely go ahead and follow me back. If you haven't gotten a chance to do so, we are at THENOSAGRP on all of our platforms. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we're also on Reddit as well. So definitely feel free to check us out on those platforms. We offer a lot of different information there, some more in-depth, some more, fun and specific to what's happening in our industry. So you can get more information. Definitely check out the events tab. As we go into the summer, we'll have more virtual and Zoom events. We'll also be opening up the option for people to participate in our upcoming podcast, which will allow you guys to kind of share your stories and get your information out there and your journey out there for others who might be interested in the industry, as well as who may also be interested in working for your business. So feel free to continue to follow us here, as we'll share more information about that coming out. As always, thanks for supporting our community. This month, we will have more details for you guys about the exciting direction that we've decided to take NOSACON 2024. We think, based on our experience with last year's NOSACON and what we want to do for next year, that you guys will be more than pleased to participate and support it, and allow for more connections, more opportunities, more information, more networking to happen for everyone involved. As always, if you have a question or a topic that you want me to cover, feel free to reach out to me. I will cover it here on our Facebook Lives, and or more than likely cover it on our actual YouTube channel. So make sure that you're watching us on both platforms, as YouTube just allows us to share a little bit more. So check those things out. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and weekend, and happy June 1st.